It feels good to be back. Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of Jammin' Dude's Neighborhood. I want to apologize for having been gone so long. For those of you who don't know, March 5th, I don't know if any of you know this. I can't remember if I had stated it in an earlier episode, but Mrs. Dude and I have been taking care of her mother, my mother-in-law, in-house. She's been living with us for the last 12 years, and on March 5th, my mother-in-law, Mrs. Dude's mother, passed away. So we've been dealing with a lot of chaos here, so that is the reason for my absence. We've been taking some time off to grieve, and my mother-in-law was a wonderful woman, and I'm still trying to push through it, but we are starting to get our lives back to normal now. So that's where I've been. But on to happier subjects. I thought this was pretty cool. Mrs. Dude got me poster frames, not only for this, which was for the I got that on the R40 tour, but it was sitting in storage with nothing to do. And then, of course, you're already familiar with this. This had been hanging on the wall, but not with a frame. So I thank Mrs. Dude for that, and it really adds a lot to the room. It makes it so that you can't see the nasty jack hanging out of the wall anymore. The whole man cave has been cleaned up quite a bit, so we've been busy here. But we are on to the first in a series. I've been really excited about this, and yes, wore this shirt on purpose, really wear this with pride. I'm going to start sounding like a commercial. I'm so excited that I think one of the most amazing progressive metal bands on the planet right now simply resides in my own backyard. And so I am endeavoring to go into a series where I'm going to go through all the albums of Odd Logic one by one. But I have to start with their newest one, Effigy. I'm just so glad it got a physical release. The last album, Penny for Your Thoughts, did not. But I'll be getting to that at a later date. And they couldn't have picked a better time to do it because this is absolutely a killer album. I only just got into these guys. I met Sean Thompson when one of his other projects, Graphic Light Theory, locally opened up for Fate's Warning on the Darkness in a Different Light tour. And I came up to Sean Thompson just amazed because he's got such an amazing voice, a little bit reminiscent of Ted Leonard from Enchant, and I was just so blown away by his stuff, and I got a copy of the Graphic Light Theory demo, but that was where he told me about his main project, Odd Logic, and I at first was skeptical, but I took it home and I loved it. Downloaded the rest of his albums and absolutely fell in love with every note. Some of it was a little bit more, took a little bit more getting used to. But again, I'll be getting around to the rest of the albums. I really want to focus on the newest album right now because Effigy, in my opinion right now, is Odd Logic's finest hour. Everything that Sean Thompson has been working on for the last several years has culminated in this what would be so far his masterpiece. Odd Logic is a band, but let's not kid ourselves here. Sean Thompson is the brains and the spearhead and the leader of the outfit. This is Sean Thompson's baby, so as much as he would hate me to do this, I'm giving him all the credit. I mean, he is to Odd Logic what Trent Reznor is to Nine Inch Nails. Let's not beat around the bush. So, Effigy, first of all, killer artwork. Love this artwork. It is a big deal for me because we'll get to Penny for Your Thoughts later. What I've decided to do is I'm going to start with the newest album and I'm going to start working backwards toward the first album. And physical copies do not exist of everything in Odd Logic's catalog, but I will be showing you physical copies where I actually have them. I was really happy that this one got a physical release. It starts off with the 17.5-minute epic title track, Effigy, which is worth the purchase price in and of itself. One of the best mini epics I've ever heard, bar none. Everybody really needs to hear the title track from Effigy. I will confess, I'm not familiar as of yet, even though I talked to Sean a lot, I'm not familiar yet with the storyline. I believe I was told by him that soon a synopsis of the story of Effigy would be coming. I have not seen that yet, but it doesn't matter. The music speaks for itself, and Sean Thompson's voice and the way that he carries the epic and the way that he structured the title track and the way that everything came together for this album is nothing short of phenomenal. And I don't just say this because I know Sean, because let me tell you, Sean, I'm just for the sake of being somewhat, I can't just think that everything's glorious. On a couple of the albums, I'm going to have some criticisms, so I'll gear you up for that later. But nothing on this one. This is absolutely Odd Logic's best album. We go into immediately after this. It starts off with this incredible epic. We go into Master of the Moor, which is sort of, it's a perfect second track. Have you ever made like a perfect mixtape where you want to grab somebody with that perfect opening thing that's just going to blow everybody's doors off, and then the expectation is like, okay, but the second track is really going to tell the tale. Are they just a one trick pony, or are they going to keep going? Master of the Moor is a perfect, that's like the 2 minutes to midnight of this album. It keeps you hooked. It's shorter, it rocks, it's a great concert piece, keeps you tuned in. Then with track 3, Mercenary, now I heard an earlier version of this track that was a little bit different, but Mercenary really goes over the top, goes for broke, and becomes almost a straight up death metal piece. And in all of Odd Logic's history, I've never quite heard them experiment to this extent with these Cookie Monster vocals and stuff. But in the context of the story and in the context of this album and the fact that it's used very little on the album as a whole, it works as like this shot in the arm. You've gotten this incredible epic, which is on par with A Change of Seasons, followed up by this nice, good prog rocker that just keeps things going, and then all of a sudden you're hitting the throttle and going for this progressive death metal piece in the Mercenary, which then for the second half takes it back down. And now Sean doesn't do the death metal vocals here for the Mercenary. That's done by Pete Hansen, who this is his second album drumming for Odd Logic, and he does a masterful job, just a fantastic job on this entire album. I really have to give applause to Pete. And now he's also contributing the harsher vocals. But for the second half of the song, Sean kicks things back in, and he takes things to a nice, and he takes it down, and he builds things back up with a nice, clean vocal harmony that is a good sing-along as well. For the Yearning, we drop things back down. It's a completely acoustical piece. I like the variance. I like the fact that we have a lot of different things going on in this album, and it's a shorter number that just allows the entire album to breathe before we then go on to Witch Runner, which is, again, a little bit more of a mid-tempo progressive piece. Works really well. Fantastic chorus. Absolutely works well. So now that we've gone from epic to good strong one, and then throttle with the death metal, then the cool down with the acoustic piece, now we're starting to ramp things back up, and we've got a nice mid-tempo one with the Rich Runner, really strong chorus, and then it really kicks in as we go into the 10-minute Iron Skyline. Much more progressive, still fantastic put together. It starts to show after a couple of tracks where we've started to see maybe a little bit more of the straightforward hard rock. Iron Skyline starts to mix a little bit more of the progressive elements back in, and it takes everything back up. Now we're starting to pick up the tempo a little bit more as we start to head down the stretch. Now we get to probably the shocker of the whole album, Memories of Light. Memories of Light is just under 7 minutes, and I think Sean told me that he came up with the chorus at the last minute, and that is just amazing because this is the dynamite, catchy chorus of the entire album, and it is definitely going to be a concert favorite for years to come as long as they keep rolling this out. I'm really excited about this. And then it ends with the mini epic Maiden Child. Now what's cool about Maiden Child is Maiden Child had been one of my favorites in the couple of shows that I've seen with Odd Logic. They always close with Maiden Child. And it has an ending that I won't spoil, but live, I was wondering how they were going to recreate it, because it is definitely a live experience, the way that they end Maiden Child. On the album, they do it differently, but they do it justice, and it works perfect, and it brings the album full circle. Sean, you did an amazing job of making this album a complete piece by turning that live experience of Maiden Child, that progressive rock piece, great song, and making that ending and turning it into something that just went together with the whole album. I get too excited and I lose my words. My co-host, obviously, I've been visiting with him tonight and I'm losing my words. I don't rehearse these shows. And the reason why is just because I want to go spur of the moment and I want to go with my gut. And my gut is I've just been sitting here listening to Effigy and loving it. I've spun this so many times. This is one of those albums that has just been stuck in my CD player, and it's been in my iPod shuffle, and I cannot get enough of it. Even though it's their newest album, this is my favorite Odd Logic album. Please, everyone. You know what? I will even go so far as to say this. If you are a progressive metal fan, you right now go to the website that I'm going to link. I personally am going to give you a money-back guarantee. I'm not kidding. You go ahead and purchase this album. If you don't think that this was worth the money, if you can honestly come to me and say, you know what, I'm a big progressive rock fan, I bought this album, I gave it 5 spins, I really gave it a chance, I gave it a chance to sink in, and man, I just did not think it was all that at all. You write back to me, I will send you your money back. I will personally send you your money back. If you really, you have to be a fan of progressive metal. You have to already be a fan of the genre. You have to be a fan of similar bands. Okay? I'm not gonna, well, I liked Rebecca Black last week, but I can't really understand. No. You don't qualify. If you're already a fan of progressive metal, and you go and you give a decent try and you spin this 5 times, and you can honestly look me in the eye and think, it's not really that big of a deal, I will send you your money back. How about that? So, there it is. Personal money back guarantee from Jammin' Dude's Neighborhood. You get in touch with me, but I can almost guarantee I am not going to have to back up that promise. You guys are going to love this. At the very least, you are going to say, you know what? That's a pretty good album, and I'm glad I spent the $10. I'll give you a link. Till next time, week or two, I'm going to be doing a review on their previous album, going backwards, Penny for Your Thoughts. That one's going to be not as glowing, but some gems and still worth the purchase. But till then, we'll see you next time on Jammin' Dudes Neighborhood.